fringe of a Munich airport lies the wreckage of an airliner, still smouldering from a crash in which 21 people were killed. Tragedy enough at any time. But in that plane were a group of young men who were almost the personal friends of millions. Manchester United, the finest soccer team Britain has produced since the war. And 7 of them died in the crash. 10 others, as well as their famous manager, Matt Busby, were injured. Some so seriously that their lives hung in the balance. Busby's babes, as they were affectionately called, were on their way home from Belgrade when the disaster struck. They were on top of the world. Their 3-goal draw with Yugoslavia's Red Star team had put them through to the European Cup semi-finals. They had high hopes of the English FA Cup. Now those hopes are snuffed out, like the lives of 7 of their finest players.
Only the day before they'd met Red Star in Belgrade in their European Cup tie. United had been quick to take the lead. This was through a goal by Dennis Violet, one of those injured in the crash. In the first half, the British team were making rings round the Yugoslavs, and they scored their second thanks to Bobby Charlton, another of the injured. This is how all would like to remember the boys of this great team playing typically fine football.
And I was saying prayers that people like Eddie Coleman and Dave Pegg would be all right, not knowing that a lot of people already knew that they'd been killed.
Duncan Edwards injured, Bill Fuchs injured. Mark Jones killed. Ray Wood injured. Eddie Coleman killed. David Pegg killed. Dennis Violet injured. Tommy Taylor killed. Roger Byrne killed. Bill Whelan killed. John Barry injured. Matt Busby was their worst problem. For 2 days he lay between life and death with one of his lungs completely deflated. Then came the welcome news. Matt was off the danger list.
And then it was my wife actually that came in one day and said, he's asked so many times who's ill, who's bad, who has died. I think it's time we were telling them the truth. And of course, when I mentioned their name, the other nodded their head, which meant that they'd been killed.
It's something we very rarely talk about, but there's a big chunk of our minds often think about the people, the actual day and the accident and the people who died, and the press people as well, everybody.
We know that history says that they were great and everything else, and I'm quite sure, I agree with the boys, there was such a tremendous amount of talent on that side. I don't know. I think we could have won the boat race.
Into Liverpool Street Station came 2 who survived the disaster unharmed. Harry Gregg, goalkeeper, and Billy Fuchs, accompanied by assistant manager Jim Murphy.
When the Nazis made their ferocious aerial attack on Manchester, they adopted the now familiar tactics of flare dropping followed by incendiary bombs. Why the flare dropping, goodness knows, but they still bomb indiscriminately.
The disaster that befell United during the night of March the 11th, 1941, served to add to their problems. Stray German bombs from an air raid directed at the industrial complex of Trafford Park fell on Old Trafford, wrecking the pitch and demolishing the stands. By 1945, the debts and the debris were still there, and the search began for a manager to take it all on.
Dave Hickey, youngest of the party. And now brought from Germany by Empire News, the voice of Matt Busby himself.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am speaking from my bed in the Eiser Hospital in Munich, where I have been since the tragic accident of just over a month ago. You will be glad, I am sure, to know that the remaining players here and myself are now considered out of danger.
One more player had since died of his injuries, Duncan Edwards.
his injured leg, Matt is in great spirits, as happy as a schoolboy at the prospect of seeing his beloved team again. The team who have certainly not disgraced his faith in them during these difficult weeks, and who have won their way to Wembley when even their best friends feared they were finished for months to come. And if there's one body of friends who are Manchester United fans for the rest of their lives, it's the staff of Rex-Day-Isar Hospital.
Bobby Charlton and Colour exchanged Manchester United and Benfica pennants. The moment of truth in the battle for mastery of European soccer had arrived. United, playing in blue, kicked off. United launched directly into attack. Bobby Charlton took the ball into Benfica territory. George Best fell foul of the first of a series of savage tackles which marred the first half. Best again with the ball. He seemed to be a target for the stop-them-at-any-cost Benfica defence, but Italian referee Lobello let that one go. Benfica had the advantage, but made a stonewall United rearguard. It was near the end of an unglamorous first half. No score by either side. With the eyes of the world on both teams and the hopes of every Briton behind United, the second half got underway. The Busby boys seemed fired with a new enthusiasm and stormed into the attack. United's football was full of fire. Enrique had to concede a corner to keep that one out. George Best was in terrific form, but so was Enrique. United were proving the better side. Hard-working Best put the ball out to the left, where Sadler had been playing like a demon. The return centre was a beauty. Charlton headed it home. The match was by no means won. Benfica pulled off a beauty through Grasser. 1-1 and time running out. Stepney was a wonder goalkeeper to stop that rocket from the big cannon boot of Eusebio, and the great Portuguese star sportingly acknowledged it. But that wasn't it. 90 minutes up and still deadlock. The teams were weary, but the fans weren't. And so on into the first half of extra time. And what a 15 minutes it was. Stepney collected and fed his forwards. Waiting to receive was mighty Best. He simply walked the ball into the net. What a goal! United in the lead. And that wasn't all. The Busby Babes were raring to go. They hammered Benfica. Watch this fantastic goal. My, oh my, how they cheered Kid, the birthday boy, for that super header. Even Stepney joined in. The Benfica fire had nearly been extinguished. But where United finished, not on your life. Bobby Charlton made it 4-1. Manchester United had well and truly done it. They were supreme soccer champions of Europe. At last, Matt Busby, the maestro of Manchester United, had groomed a team great enough to beat Europe's best. He was king of soccer. His wonderful 11 men were all princes. How they cheered as Bobby Charlton led his men up to receive the handsome outsized trophy. Mr. Vivaker, President of the European Union of Football Associations, handed it over. This victory didn't belong only to Manchester United supporters. This was a win for Great Britain. What a match. What a team. Charlton, Stepney, Brennan, Dunn, Creran, Fuchs, Styles, Best, Kidd, Sadler and Aston. And pride of place, Busby.
The European Cup was the pinnacle of Matt Busby's achievement.